Once more. Guys, last time I had a very close friend of mine here and we spoke about fathering, right? And we spoke about the effect of a present father, a father that's not present, and. So I've got him back. And this is Oliva Velbroek, Pastor Oliva Velbroek. How are you doing, my good man?
I'm good, thanks, and you, yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you, man.
Welcome back. I told guys, this guy's gonna be here most of the time. Yeah, it's like those who've listened to the last one. We were talking about how we've been friends for over 20 years. We've known each other before we got married, and now we are fathers, husbands. Our wives are also friends, as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. And again, I was saying to you last time to say, part of relationship is started from conversations, good conversations I would have with people around me and friends, and we always have these conversations. And I was like, how these conversations are helping me.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have other people listening in, and hearing our conversation. And again, guys, this is just me and this guy here just having our own conversations.
That's true.
We don't have stats. We don't have. It's our opinions, right? You might agree, you might disagree. It's fine. And if you do agree, we'd love to hear it in the comment box. If you disagree, please, we'd also like to hear it because we don't know everything.
Yes.
We are learning.
That's true.
And I believe we can learn from you guys as well. So last time when we spoke, you raised an interesting topic that I would like us to see how we can tackle it today. You said that we should be intentional in our fathering.
Yes.
What exactly what does it then mean? What is that? Intentional fathering.
Some of the things that we spoke about, if you remember very well, was the fact that kids do learn. Whether you sit them down or you sit them down and tell them what you want them to learn, or by just doing things that you're doing, they learn. And we used an example of a child who will decide to learn to smoke or to drink or to dress in a certain way because they've seen their father doing that. Unfortunately, in those cases where a child is learning and you're not necessarily teaching them, it becomes unfortunate because most of the times they pick up things that you really wouldn't want to pass to them. And so that is where intentional fathering comes in, where you are intentional about what you will want your kids to know and what you will want your kids to become, how you will want their lives to turn out. And so that is where now the concept of intentional fathering comes in, where you do things on purpose. I think it was a while back when we just had a conversation and we were talking about communication. And I said, most of the times we say we have communication problem in marriages. And then I said, when you walk into the house, let's say you're coming back from work and then you walk into your house and you keep quiet, you're communicating.
Yes.
When you come and you don't say anything to your wife and she's busy in the kitchen and then you decide to sit on the couch with a newspaper, you are communicating. When you get in bed and you face the other way, even though you don't say anything, you are communicating. So the problem, and this is where now intentional fathering comes in, most of the times we will say, like I said, communication is a problem, when communication is not the problem. The problem is, am I communicating what I really want to communicate? Or am I communicating something unintentional? Does my wife, as I walk in and I'm quiet, what I really want to communicate is that I'm angry or withdrawn, or is that what I really want to communicate? So that is where intentionality comes in. And the same is with fathering, that we do not want kids who will pick up things from us that we didn't want them to pick up from us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Again, you're starting another topic. The communicating part of it. And we'll go there. We'll go there one of these days. Sure. I think you said so much, because in what you're saying is, because I'm also realizing that our fathering, we actually even father other children that are not ours.
Yes.
Unintentionally.
Yes.
Right? You said, and I remember with Umdu that we had, he said he learned fathering from other people.
Yes.
He also learned it from a church and stuff. So we also need to be aware of that fact. Our fathering doesn't only end with our children. We're fathering the children out with their own homes. Yeah.
That's so true.
But then, so tell me more about intentional fathering. So give me a scenario with your daughter, the eldest.
Yes.
Yes. So what would be an intentional fathering for you in relating with her?
Let me. I know this is going to sound like a cliche.
Okay.
But part of my intentionality in fathering her is spending time with her.
Okay.
I do spend time with her.
And you're intentional about spending that time?
I'm intentional about that.
Okay.
So my fathering is intentional in that sense. I do actually point out to things every time especially when I'm driving.
Okay.
Intentionally, I will show her certain things that I will want her to know. So I'm intentional in that sense, that I do not just keep quiet about things. I do not just allow her to learn things from friends. I do specifically show her what I want her to learn. And like I said, the other way it would be for me to spend time with her. And I'm intentional about that as well. And I know that you have just spoken about my eldest, but I do that with the other two as well. I do specifically spend time with them. Or the other thing that I do has been to also figure out what they're good at and what they love doing, and to support and encourage that. And again, like I said the last time we were having a conversation, that sometimes some of the things that we say we will want to do are the things that we missed, things that were supposed to happen but they didn't happen. So there are a few things that I was good at growing up. One of them I mentioned the last time I was here, that I was good at soccer. And then I became a hip-hop. I danced and I wrote music. At some stage I was also doing poetry.
Yes, I remember
that. The sad thing is, if you were to tell my father that, he wouldn't know any of that, because he hasn't seen me doing any of those things. My brother was a 200-meter sprinter, very good at it as well. My father heard from the people, he had never seen him running. And I have seen how eventually he dropped that. And it didn't mean anything anymore to him, because it didn't mean anything to his father.
Sure.
And that is why then I'm saying, when it comes to my children's giftings, their talents, then I'm there to support and encourage.
Sure.
So that they don't drop something that is good just because the father is not paying attention.
I was privileged to be able to go attend some matches with my boys. My oldest, like, yeah, you might not believe it, but I played sports. Like, even now, I struggle watching soccer or watching sport.
Yes.
Because I was one of those guys who wanted to play.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And my eldest son is like that. But my youngest son was doing athletics.
Yes.
And they were doing shot puts. So because I was at home, he had asked me to go and watch him. So I went and I watched him. And he's very tiny.
Yes.
Right. There's a short clip that I have with my two boys, with my wife. He was throwing the furthest.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
And this teacher came and said, "Wow, whose child is this?" And I was like, "Hey, I mean, this is my child," you know, kind of a thing. And that was I think the practice run or something.
Yes.
And when they went to the actual match, I wasn't there. On that one that they played, he came number 1.
Yeah.
With the same people, he came number 3.
Wow.
And in my head, like
Wow.
now, when you are saying that,
Wow.
Jorge, your brother stopped it because it was not important.
Yes.
So sometimes then our children want to do best.
Yes.
Because you are there.
Yes.
Right? But sure. I spoke to this other young man from where I grew up, and I grew up in Alexander Township. It's my home time.
Yeah.
I still love that place. And we were talking about him having children, and it's hard, you know,
Yes.
it's hard. I cannot buy this for him and that and that and
Yes.
that. And you just said spend time. There's no money there.
Yes.
And I remember I said to him, you know, take him for a walk.
Yeah.
Look, she, look at her.
Yes.
Just pick her up, it's a girl, pick her up, walk with her, pass all these puzzle shops to the furthest puzzle shop, buy her a lollipop and walk back.
Yes.
That alone.
Yes.
And you have to be intentional
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
right? But the truth of the matter is, there's places where we're going to miss it.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to get it right. Because
Yeah.
this is the other thing that I've learned, and I want to say this, you must know that you can never be a perfect father.
Yeah.
Is there a way for
Yeah.
that, to say that? So don't seek for perfection.
Yes.
Right? Don't seek for just the little things.
Yes.
Just those little things that you can do with this child. Right? In your intentional fathering, how is it different when you're fathering your daughter compared to your son? Is there a difference?
There isn't at the same time, and I will explain why.
There is and there isn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when you were talking earlier, and you were talking about your sons, one thing that came to my mind was knowing that you're raising two different people. And in my case, knowing that you're raising three different people.
So even the twins are different?
Even the twins are different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I know it sounds like a foolish question. But yeah.
it becomes it's very important as well, because chances are you end up wanting the other one to copy the other. So you in raising and being intentional about raising your kids, or being intentional about fathering, it is very important as well to notice that they are different. And you need to treat them as two different individuals. One of the things, when I know you have heard people saying this quite a lot, talking about how sometimes we will want to force our dreams on children. And I think intentional fathering will also allow us to understand the difference between guidance and forcing. There are
the difference between guidance and forcing.
Because sometimes what we do is that we're forcing our children to become what they're not supposed to be, what they were not designed to become, simply because that is what we want, that is what we believe. So allowing our kids to be individuals, allowing our kids to have their dreams, and still being able to be there to guide them. You're guiding them, and the guidance part comes in where you now understand that as a parent, you are more experienced. In fact, I was talking about my child the other time. I'm not going to tell that story, but I was talking about picking her up and throwing her up and then catching her. And I said one of the things that I spoke about was, even though she was that young, she learned that even though she is, because by that time I think she was 3 months, but she was still very small. Even though she was, let's say for the sake of this conversation, 3 months, even though she was 3 months old child, she had figured out that I'm not a 3 months old adult.
Wow.
So it is important for her. So,
Wow.
so she understood that even though I throw her up and I'm catching her, she can rely on that.
Wow.
She can rely on that knowledge. So I'm saying that to say, I'm saying that just to say this, that we are parents for that reason. We have experience. We are able to guide. There are certain things that our kids will hurt themselves with if we are not there. So our role is to guide them while we still allow them to be individuals.
Sure.
So
Sure.
we treat them differently in that sense. We treat them the same in the sense that, and I know it has killed a lot of children as well, when they feel like someone is loved more than the other, someone is respected more than the other. So some of the kids felt like, no matter what I'm doing in this house, I will never really be loved, because we have made them feel like they have to be like the other one for them to be loved. So they are treated the same in that sense. Same in the sense that they are my children, I love them the same, I respect them the same. However, I allow them to be individuals. So
Sure.
the difference is there in that, yeah, I treat them the same in that way. And different in the sense that they are different individuals.
You know, like, sure, this thing of intentional parenting is very big. And you need to be present as well.
Yes.
And also think about the things that you wanted
Yes.
done for you when you were a
Yes.
child by your
Yes.
parent.
Yes.
And I think that's a beginning, that's where you can start.
Yeah.
I think, what is it that you wished your father did for you?
Yes.
Right? And do that.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about allowing them, the children to be themselves, you know, I had to unlearn something. So we are very strict in this house.
Yes.
Right? And the boys, they know. So but I had to learn that in my being strict, I must not always belittle even the older
Yes.
one, right? So what would happen is the older one was naughty, right?
Yeah.
Like broke let's say he broke a cup and he hid it, and I
Yes.
find that out, right? Now, whenever I come home and he's home first, it was like, I wonder what has he done this time, right? And I walk in the house, and because I'm already thinking, I wonder what he's done, I
You're
see
looking for it.
everything that, yes, you know, and I would do this.
Yeah.
I would do this like, and I didn't realize it until my older son got frustrated.
Wow.
And he said to me,
Wow.
but when it doesn't matter what I do.
Yes.
And he said that in frustration, because I frustrated him, and he walked away. And he says, it doesn't matter what I do, it's always going to be wrong. And I was like, wow. And I realized that exactly this is what I was doing.
Yes.
Because in my mind, and you know where it comes from? It comes from the fact that my parents were strict, right?
Sure.
And you'll get a hiding. So I was one person who didn't like hidings.
Yes.
Right? We got hidings, guys. We got hiders. Right? So I got to a point where I hated being in trouble. So I was not a naughty child.
Yeah.
And I grew up with this thing, I don't want a naughty child.
Yeah.
So now that I saw you were naughty, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna use my strength to help you not to be naughty.
Yes.
But in doing that, then, you know, like I'm saying, that he said it doesn't matter.
Yes.
So he'll come in and, you know, I broke a cup yesterday. So today I'm going to clean the house so that my father can see what, you know what, I'm trying.
Sure.
And even at that point, you still don't see it. But the idea of even the fact that you are telling yourself, I want to be intentional in my fathering, allows you even to adjust to those things.
Yes.
To say, no, but then I'm doing this wrong.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to do it? You know? The other day I sat down with him, I said, what is it that we as our parents are frustrating you about? And he said, no, Daddy, I will tell you some other time, not now. And I was like, yo, am I even ready?
It's hectic.
You know, and the mind says, go back to how you know fathering. You don't sit with children and ask them questions. The reason our parents didn't ask this question, they didn't want to know these things, so just leave it.
Yeah, sure.
But being intentional is like, okay,
I wanna know.
you said you don't want to talk to him about it now.
Yeah.
Then tell me. And that actually reminds me, I'll ask him. And we're gonna have a session with him where he says he wanted to talk about the pros and cons of being the firstborn child.
Sure.
I think that's gonna be interesting. But I wanna get back to what you're saying. That you don't compare your children.
Yes.
Right? And it's difficult, guys. We're not saying we're perfect.
Yeah.
There's way, and if you to probably interview our children, they'll probably tell you a different story.
Yes.
Because we think we're doing
Yes.
that. But what I'm saying is, the intention to try and do it right.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. To say, I want to do it right.
Yes.
And I want to say to the fathers out there, let us try our best to do it right. Because first thing is, these children that you are bringing up, one day they're going to be the ones that are taking care of you.
Yeah. That's true.
At one point, you're going to be the child at one point.
Yes.
Right? Not even that. You know, my boy is, I think he's 15 years this year. Now I realize that discipline is different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And I'm just saying, if one day he got frustrated, he thought, you know what, I'm going to fight this guy. I will really have to fight like I'm fighting a man. It's not going to be like I'm punishing a child, you know, kind of a thing. So that awareness now is like, okay, so even punishment, we do it differently now. Right? You do it differently, and that's because of this idea of intentional fathering.
Yes.
You have, how old is your girl now?
12.
12 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. So at one point you're gonna deal with boys.
That's true. That's true.
Have you ever thought about that?
Buying a gun, yes.
and I'm asking that question because I want us to talk about that in one of our other sessions.
Yes.
Right? Some of us know how we were at certain ages.
Yeah.
With girls.
Yes.
Right? Now you've got a girl child, then you must protect this girl child against yourself.
Yes.
You know?
That's true.
I've got 2 boys. Right? Now I need to teach them not to treat a girl child in a way that is demeaning and all the other stuff. You know, but that's another topic that I want us to talk about. But for this one, unless if there's something else that you want to say in line with that before I wrap it up.
Yeah, actually, at some stage I looked at, and I know that I really didn't want to go that much into the Bible,
okay.
But I looked at how God fathered Adam.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a few things that I see there that I think maybe one could just look at. The first first thing that I see there is that as a father, you spoke about presence. And that is what Adam enjoyed. He enjoyed God's presence.
Okay.
The second thing, I think you just mentioned that now when you were talking about my daughter, it's God's protection. So God offered him protection, and I believe he was also giving us a model and an example to say this is what you will need to do. The other thing, he made a garden with fruits, and he said you can eat. So I see that as a provision. He did that as well. So I believe that as fathers, and I liked what you said earlier on when you spoke about a guy buying her daughter just a lollipop. I think most of the times when we speak about provision, most of the times we're thinking spending a lot of money. That is what comes to our mind most of the times. But sometimes it would just mean doing simple things, small things for your children. And the other thing that I see there is it's God who actually gave them identity.
Okay.
Yeah, he said when he was creating them, he knew exactly what he was creating. I'm creating a man. That is what he did. He was very intentional. He was clear as to what he was creating. It meant it not just happen. He said, I'm creating a man in my image. So the other thing that I see there is that we are responsible for that as well, to give our children identity. Hence I said that when we do not tell them who they are, then they will go out there and be confused by people who tell them what they are not. And for some reason they start living that out. You can see the confusion that is out there where children don't know, or people in general don't know who they are. And you see a lot of confusion because we as fathers do not instill that in our children so that they will work out our houses or our homes with confidence and clear identity. And then finally I see God giving them a place. I put them in the garden, and I wanna be able to, and now in terms of place, I wouldn't necessarily wanna put them in a place as a geographic location, but I would want my kids to know that they are supposed to be here, that they can work with confidence and understand that God had created them with a purpose, that they are supposed to be here, and
they're not mistakes.
They're not mistakes. They're supposed to be here, and they're supposed to be here now. So that is what I would want to create for my children. I would want my children to know that this is where they're supposed to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like the way that you've taken that story in the Bible and you've made it practical.
Yeah.
You know.
Thanks.
So sure, guys. To all the fathers that actually know what would you like to say, Pastor Oliver, to all the men out there that are trying their best to make this work, even those that don't even know what to do? What word of encouragement can you tell them?
We all really have to learn by trying. Don't try to be perfect, just try to be there for your children and give them the best you. And the best you is who you are. Don't try and be something else, don't try to be somebody else.
Sure. So just try to be there. Let's start there. Yeah. Right? To the fathers who feel like they've failed and they want to start all over again, is just try to be there.
Yeah.
To the mothers that got hurt because of the fathers that didn't take care of their children, what do you say to them?
One of the things that normally happens is that we take out their frustrations on children. Remember, what happened between you and the father of their child is not their child's fault. So learn to separate their child from their father. continue to love their child. That child is a blessing.
That child is a blessing indeed. And if the father is trying to amend things, please meet them halfway. Again, this is only our opinion. We don't know the stories. We don't know, like it will be different from one story to a person. But what we're just saying is, guys, let us do this for the next generation. Thank you so much for joining us. It is again with and you know what, I want to say this, we are working on having seminars where we can sit and discuss these things in detail and have people that can question what we're talking about, right? And we workshop it, we train each other, and we go out there and we make it different. Guys, thank you so much. This is Relating Relationships. We are addicted to good conversation. Thank you so much.
We depend on you, Lord. We rely on you. We depend on you, Jesus. We rely